take the image that you see on screen with this funny cigarette, and you can try to capture wrapping what is the general impression or the feeling that you're watching me. You know, it inspires in you. What impression do you have of this? My talking. And for years, what my intention was, whatever I spoke about, was basically to slow down. I was trying to ground together with the audience, or talk about grounding. Where grounding is maybe necessary when you want to understand everything, anything fully, because the ground is where you start. You born, you are crawling on the ground, and the ground is where you start. And the feel of the earth, the basic, essential, you know, feel of the earth is what you may experience when you see a bird flying by you. For example, these birds, if I looked at them, if I noticed them for years upon years, that I shall say negotiating with birds, usually talking about happiness in the morning. But wrapping to the impression that I'm giving is something that also birds react or relate to in a very friendly fashion. So I was trying to deliver, first of all, grounding, slowness, to slow, to ground, and to become aware of the wrapping. And in the wrapping, I'm pointing to the overall impression, but also to the source, in other words, allowing the source, allowing the deeper perspective about reality to function, the reality to be applicable. So the wider scope that I depend on, and I depend on things that I have asked for and I was answered for by very high spiritual entities, different entities. And they, in fact, each of them when they presented to me the aspect or the perspective that they suggested I would be practicing based on that perspective, when they offered me that perspective, I had to still recall, because that perspective was given to me in a certain delicate situation while I was meditating, while I was half meditating, half dreaming, or dreaming and then waking up into this mess, which is a mess of life here that's going on. And in this mess, I had a recollection of the perspective that was served to me from some of the highest fields of consciousness. And there was a recollection that I also synchronistically bounced into when watching one of these videos that I'm watching, and I think was Sananda that reminded me. So he was the source of this scope, of this field or world or understanding of world, which is so far out that I had to recall and to actually express it, to express the fact that I was given this perspective. And that happened not once or twice, that happened many times from different sources during many, many years. For example, and I'm trying to convey those frequencies or those aspects or those understanding, those scope, those wrapping. I'm trying to convey it. For example, another example is that for like close to 3 years that I'm involved in building plasma technology. Plasma technology devices, small devices, are practically possible for me to build them. It's a strange building them, because I was going through different realms. It was like jumping from the level, one level of energy, from gravitational to magnetical and backwards, going to magnetical, gravitational, and then there is the device, there's a physical device that you build, and through building it you go from the magnetical to the gravitational, and by moving in that way reconstruct the basic field of impression with a machine that is evident, that is witness. The machine is in fact also introducing the consciousness of the machine, which is plasma machine, that its origin of this technology of plasma machines is so advanced that many say it's incarnated. It's this technology itself is incarnated into our consciousness, so that we could, it relates to us if we able to relate to them. So then you get downloads from the most advanced form of AI, artificial intelligence, that actually resides on entire planets. It's a planet that is made of a mesh of pipes, wires like pipes that go all over the planet. It's like covering the planet like it's a kind of a jewel of an ancient, very complex lining that is covering the whole planet, which is a desert. It's always machine is, in fact, it's like the skin of the planet, but the vines or the structure on the planet is pretty thick. It can be a few meters or maybe more. The structure of it's like a drawing of an electronic device, that you have all these lines that go in, but it doesn't have this special elements growing on it. It's like in a motherboard, you will have this net that is printed on the plate, but there's only the printing, the flat printing. There's no different devices connected to it. It is made of sand. The whole planet is covered with sand. It's not the sand, maybe it's the color of the sand, that it has all this huge structure. That's where the plasma machines that I build originate. This is according to the vision that the plasma machine can relate also in the same high frequencies of dreams and insight. but it's very often too hard to recollect, and but I have it so in a way that is so vivid that I can draw it, and actually maybe I will one day. Anyway, so this was my a short insight into working from a different perspective, and that is higher consciousness. This is source. Your source is much above usual daily frequencies that you use, but in fact, when you stretch this field consciousness into plasma, you find that the emotional aspect of you can follow there too. So it's an emotional kind of tracking that you could do also. If you heard me saying all this, maybe you can roll back the film and make sense of what I'm saying here. So thank you for watching. I'm yosan Pedro, and thank you for watching.